Hello, my name is Aviel Parente, and this is the Light of the Torah. This week's Parsha is Parshat Lecha. It's basically the story of Avraham Avinu, our first patriarch, and his journey with God. The beginning of this week's Parsha takes a massive leap from the end of last week's Parsha, Parshat Noach. We spoke last week about the Mabul, the flood, and all of the lessons that can be learned from Noach. But the end of last week's Parsha, there's a list of 10 generations, the generations from Noach to Avraham, in a direct lineage. Avraham's father, the 9th generation in the list, his father's name was Terach, and the pasuk states, "Vayu yimei Terach 5 shanim u'ma'atayim shana, vayamot Terach b'Charan." Terach lived for 205 years, and he died in Haran. And immediately after, we jump straight to Avraham Avinu being told by God to leave. Lech, Lecha, go for yourself. How old is Avraham at this point? He's 75 years old. So let's just say Terach is 100 years old when he has Avraham. 175 years have passed since the birth of Avraham. Why is there such a huge jump from the end of Parshat Noach to the beginning of Parshat Lech Lecha? I think that in and of itself is an incredible lesson for each and every one of us to take away. It took Avraham Avinu 75 years until he was able to receive direct prophecy from God, until Hashem was able to speak to him directly and tell him to go on his mission. It took him 75 years to figure out who he is and what he believes in. The 75 years gave him the opportunity to try different things, to look at the sun and say, oh, maybe you're God, and then say, no, that can't be, and then the moon, and it gave him the opportunity to try all these different flavors of ideology until he arrived at monotheism, which is what he believed most of his lifetime. But only at 75 was it truly solidified to the point where he was firm in what he believed in. And that's when he was kind of worthy, in a way, of receiving Nevuah from Hashem, and to be able to receive the direct instructions from God of leaving his father's house, his homeland, to go to the land that God is going to show him, whatever that means. And that is an incredible lesson for each and every one of us. To go and find ourselves. We have a concept in our modern society of, a midlife crisis. Midlife is 35 to 50 years old. And it's a common phenomenon that people, they have the normal life, they go through high school, they go through college, they get a job, they get married, they have kids, and then halfway through their lives, bam, everything snaps and breaks exactly where it is. Everything comes crumbling down. Why? Because they never actually took the time to evaluate and assess their life and their true potential. And once they realize that their life has almost been a waste, it hits them like a train. They can't handle that concept. That's what the midlife crisis is. And you know how we can avoid that? Exactly what Avraham Avinu did. Spend the first half of your life figuring things out. Maybe not half of your life, but take some time. Take enough time, whatever that is for you. The standard is, take a year. I'm currently on a gap year program. I'm taking a year to study and to focus on myself and my development and growth as a human being, so I can figure out what I want. I promise you that the plans that I had in mind a year ago are not exactly the same as they are now. Things have changed. I've been introduced to new things and concepts that I didn't know existed. And that's shifted a little bit my future in a way. And it's not to say that what I believe now will be my future is what my future will look like. In another year, it could be something a little bit different. New things could be introduced to me. I could think about it a little bit more, change it. But the bottom line is, don't go into life, head first and think, it'll all work out. No, take time to focus on yourself and to find yourself. And I'm not talking about, backpacking through Europe and going to see all the beautiful places. Yes, that's fun, and that's living your life to the fullest. And I'm not trying to take away from that, but that lacks all the sense of meaning that life has to offer. Avraham Avinu didn't have a child until he was 100 years old. How are we supposed to bring life into this world? How are we supposed to teach someone else how to be a person, how to be someone, if we don't even know who we are ourselves? That's the first step. Figure out who you are. And don't take 33 years, 35 years, 40 years, 6 years. Take some time, a little bit, 2 months, 6 months, a year, 18 months, whatever works for you, and do something that you can enjoy, that will give you time to, not have the stresses of life, and so you can really focus and cultivate the future that you want. And that's the solution to avoiding midlife crisis and other such phenomena that are relatively new in the modern contemporary era. My blessing for each and every one of us is that we follow in the footsteps of Avraham Avinu. Take the time that we need, take the time that is necessary for our development and growth. No matter how old you are, young, old, there's always time that can be taken so that we can reevaluate our lives and change the trajectory of our future for the better. With that, I wish you Shabbat Shalom and Lech Lecha. Go for yourself. That's what life is all about. To go and find a proper place in the world. Shabbat Shalom.